we were talking earlier about, the kinds of questions that we get, and we notice all the time confusion just about what are coverages. I mean, how much do we need for this and that? And when you buy, let's just say, I don't want to call it a stripped down, but a homeowner's policy, there's going to be some minimum coverages, right? So how do we, first of all, let's talk about what those are, and then let's talk about how we establish those. So the first thing you got to get is the coverage for the building itself. The dwelling value. And how is that established?
So it's going to be determined based on the square footage, the type of construction. Is it brick or frame? How many bathrooms? Is there a finished basement? All those things are going to factor into what the company, determines to be the replacement value.
Because if your house burns down the day after you buy it, right, your mortgage doesn't go away.
It's not going to go away.
So,
and you're going to want another house rebuilt.
And you're
going to want one built just the way it was. And so there's a lot of factors that go into that.
So the other big number in your homeowner's insurance, there's at least 3 other big numbers, and I want to make sure that we get at least to define those. The other big one, in my mind, is your personal property.
Your contents.
So, again, we're going to take the worst-case scenario. Your house just burned to the ground. You came back from vacation, nothing but a foundation. So how do you establish, and let's forget about extra riders for collections and jewelry. How do you establish the dollar value?
So most companies are going to provide between 50 and 70% of the dwelling value for contents. So if it's $100,000 on the dwelling, then you would have between $50,000 and $70,000 of contents coverage automatic.
And then you get away from fixed numbers for things like buildings and stuff and property, and you get to liability. And so homeowners insurance policies have a liability component which protects you from non-material losses, right?
Sure. And really, most companies will provide $100,000. To be honest, it costs you about $20 a year to bump it up to $300,000.
So you get 3 times the coverage for basically 4 cappuccinos.
Yeah, and then if you want to go to $500,000, then it's not that much more on top of that.
Yeah.
So.
And then one other item that I wanted to bring up again, because I know that people are confused. It's medical pay. So there's numbers in your policy typically. And just real quickly, because we're almost out of time, but how does that work in the typical homeowner policy?
So the medical payments is normally going to provide her $1,000 or $2,000 worth of coverage, and it's there for what I call nuisance claims, where people are on the property, get hurt, and there's really no negligence on your part, so therefore there's no liability coverage.
Right. Something that they did, but they're still going to come back to you.
Clumsy and trip down the steps, and you decide you want to let them turn it in and help them cover their deductible on their health insurance.
So the point is that there are a number of things in an insurance policy, a homeowner's insurance policy, and if you're thinking about buying a home, you definitely need to know what the options are.